everybody.
Hey, everybody.
Good to see you. Good to hear you, or vice versa. But we are Cyndi Galley
and Ivette Osborne.
And welcome to the Don't Be This Girl podcast.
podcast.
Yeah, so we're so excited. You know, we've recently launched this podcast, still fairly new. But boy, we're loving the content that we're bringing to you.
We hope you're loving it too.
Yeah. More than us loving it. Yeah. Oh, we love our content. It's so good. No, really, we really are excited because we're just getting, feedback from some of the different individuals about how this book really is impacting them.
Yes.
Which is what it's all about.
Yeah, that's exactly why we got together. We wrote this. We shared some of our deepest, darkest secrets.
Yeah.
So if y'all wanted to know anything about Cyndi or Yvette, you need to get the book because all the dirty laundry is in that book.
Yes, it's true. It's so funny. Today I was meeting with my team from A New Thing Live, and she said, "Ooh, and I was reading all that about you, girl. I didn't know you were like that." I started, thank you.
Yeah, there's a reason why you didn't know, okay? Because we grew up.
Yeah, we grew up.
That's when we were young.
That's right.
That's when we were young. I think Miley Cyrus has a song like that. Something about it. I was crazy because I was young.
Oh, wow. I don't know that song. I'm not a big, huge Miley Cyrus listener.
I hear all these things because I hang out with a lot of kids. I say
At
kids.
Work.
Yeah, they're mid-20s to 30s, but they keep me on the new stuff.
That's good. Well, you'll have to keep me in on the new stuff as well. Well, it's interesting. It's actually kind of a part 2 of last episode that we had because we were talking about the movie Something New, and the character named Kenya McQueen, who brilliant actress is Sanaa Lathan. I've always loved her for so many different movies that she's been in. But this was something that actually really hit home, this movie, Something New.
Yeah.
Because here she is, a business professional and just very kind of stuck in her ways. I would say there were things about her that I was like, "Ooh, girl, you need to change that." But then in other ways, I was very comfortable with who she was.
Yeah.
Right?
I loved all her OCD. She was a little over the top, but I could relate.
All the beige in her life, her beige house, her beige walls.
Don't bring dogs into my house with all the dog hair. I have 2 dogs. I cannot stand it.
The hair?
I can't stand it.
Oh, wow.
But I love them.
Yeah.
I love them. So I have tile.
Yeah. For me, it was hardwood floors when I had 2 dogs.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Even 3. But, so here she is in this movie. And in the very beginning, we're going to show you the scene. We actually showed a little bit of it last episode.
Right. When we were talking about girlfriends.
Yes. Which was such a great episode too. I think very enlightening. If you haven't listened to it, then, once you're done with this episode, then go back and save that other one. Yeah. Because it really is good. And I think if you're somebody who's had a habit of not having great girlfriends, maybe just women in your life who've been very catty and you just have not really felt like they are safe people, then that's your episode that you need to listen to.
Yeah, you got to watch that episode and listen to it.
That's right.
It just tells you a little bit about it, but But today we're going to start with that same, part of that same clip because we're going to talk about some very deep things.
Yes, in a short amount of time.
Talks about
yeah.
So let's get to the
girl.
video,
let's get into it. Let's get into
talk
it
forever.
We really can, and this is why we have a podcast.
That's right.
Here we go. You ready?
Single Black professional woman destined to be unhappy and alone. I mean, I just have to keep believing I'll find the one. I don't even need all that. I just want a good brother.
That's right.
He doesn't have to make a lot of money so long as he's got a job. He just has to be taller than me, college educated, and not crazy. No kids, good teeth, and no kinky sex. I mean, I like to switch it up a bit, but what?
That's a list.
You're doing it again. The list, Kenya, the list.
You know what? You should have stayed with Rashid Muhammad.
So we'll stop there.
Yes. Because the list is where we're going.
Yes, because she's got a list. And in the beginning, I just want a good brother. Then you think she's there, but then she's no kids, good teeth,
As long as he's got a job, that always got me.
Everybody should have it.
She goes into how many things did she have on her list?
There were 7 things that she had on her list.
On her list. And that's probably only the beginning.
Right. Oh, yeah, because her friends cut her off. They're like, you're doing it again. There's a list. And so I love this because I feel like as a single woman, and when you were single, you had a list.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Do you know how long your list was or what characteristics you had on your list?
Actually, my list when I was single was not that long.
Really?
No, because that's why I had a lot of mistakes. That is why I didn't do well.
Okay.
But after a couple of really bad relationships, the list started to grow. And it wasn't the list of the things I wanted, but the things I didn't want.
Right. That's good.
So
that's really good.
Yeah. So
that's
it was
a different kind of list.
Yeah.
I like that.
A little more boundary set than.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
That's so good. Well, I think for me, watching this movie hit home for so many reasons. So for me, I've never been the one to say I need to have this type of race or ethnicity. My mom and my dad just always had so many, like a wide variety of ethnic friends, like ethnicities in our home growing up, Korean and Japanese and Filipino and Black and Puerto Rican. And of course, my mom is Latina and my dad was Puerto Rican and my biological dad is African American. And so we just always had a variety of friends.
Yeah.
So my mom just said, no, every race is important. She just taught me the value of embracing every race, which I love, especially just recently coming out of Martin Luther King Day, and with Black History Month here and everything. Yeah. It's just why it's sad that these have to be months, that it should just be everything.
It should be every day.
Right? Should be every day, always celebrated, every ethnicity, and from all these different countries. But so I've never had that on my list. But what I appreciated about Kenya is you realize, wow, she's kind of getting nitpicky. And people would tell me, I think you're too picky, because you just, and I kind of like what you said. There were those guys where I had a list, but then if I would meet a guy, I would just like, oh, he likes me, I like him. But most of the times he wasn't even what was on the list.
No.
Right?
No, you throw the list away. Listen, when the hot guy comes into the room, you throw the list away. No, this is not my advice.
Don't be this girl.
That was the girl. That was me back then. That was the girl. I was like, okay.
Yes.
The hot brother. No. But, and here we go with the race thing.
Yes.
It was very important to her.
To have her ideal Black man.
Yeah.
And Brian, her love interest.
Yes. In this movie, if you haven't seen this movie,
he was not Black.
It is the cutest thing.
Actually,
and Brian is as white as they come. Okay. Blonde. I think he has blue eyes. I'm not sure.
Brownish, gray. They're beautiful.
Yeah, he's pretty white.
Simon Baker.
So cute.
Adorable Australian.
But there was that scene when they went on their date and she was looking around this cafe that was
Starbucks.
Predominantly Black people in there. And she was looking and it was like the beacon of light.
Oh, it was
and
great.
She was like, no.
He's like, Kenya, and she's like,
no. And I love how she went around and tried to act
that was embarrassing.
More
Black.
Like girlfriend-ish than she
How's that weave treating you? Or whatever.
Please.
She was,
Like, tell me that you say that on the daily, in your office. You are not talking like that in your office. So.
And he was cute because he picked up on it.
And called her out.
He really called her out. He was a really good guy. And I fell in love with his character. And we're talking more about the list. And I do think, what we're talking about brings us to a good point. It would be great to talk about interracial dating as well. Because again, that can be a hot topic.
Yeah.
For me, I know there were things that I experienced growing up that were very heartbreaking for me with regards to interracial dating. And I've almost always never dated a Black guy. I think if I've had 30 boyfriends or dated 30 guys, and that might even be a low number, I would say maybe 3 of those have been African American.
Okay.
And so, everything from Japanese to Vietnamese, Chinese, white, Latino, Middle Eastern. Yeah. And of course, mixed as well. And then even like me, Black and Mexican, but it's because it was never about the color of skin.
Right.
It was about the person.
Mm-hmm.
So I could be hanging out with a guy like, one of my high school sweethearts, and I talk about him in the book. I mean, I just fell head over heels for him, and he was Japanese.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And we just had the best time. Like, we just were the closest friends, and we just made each other laugh. We were so opposite. Here I was like talkative, and then anything I would say would make him laugh, and then it'd make me crack up. And we just had this great, I would still love to have that chemistry with somebody now. And I talk about that a little bit in the book, that there's a few guys where I realize now in my 50s, this is the type of relationship, this camaraderie that it would be good with. And it was a more mild-mannered man, softer, gentle, funny.
What?
Yeah. And
I just don't even see that.
When I'm with the ones that are like loud and vivacious like me, it is like oil and water.
Really?
It is, very.
Well, I guess that does make
sense.
sense.
It's like this. It's like, it's awful. And so, but we talked a little bit even about on the last episode about people that are like you. And I always thought I needed to date somebody who was just like me.
Yeah.
And that was a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, that's true. Now that I think about that, it's like, opposites do attract.
Yeah, both talkative. And if you're both loud, and if you're both, it's like, can I get a word in edgewise? And I've dated that too, where there was just this constant, well, I'm telling the story. Well, I'm a better storyteller, just back and forth. I was like, wait a minute, but this was my story.
I think I've actually told my husband, Kyle, that before, where I was like, listen, babe, this is after the moment. Yeah. And I'm like on a car ride home or something.
Yes.
Could you please just let me tell the story? Let me tell the story.
Oh, we're so sorry.
Don't correct me. Like,
yeah.
And I think I'm doing good because I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
yeah.
You just tread lightly out there, ladies. Don't be breaking,
Yeah.
But yeah, I've done that a couple of times because it's like when he's passionate about something, or if we both live this story, and he's got his little different version of it.
Like Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. This is why people say, well, how are the stories? Because they're all different perspectives.
They're all different people. Yeah. And so it's true.
Yeah.
We definitely need someone who's a little bit more quiet.
Yes.
Because I don't think anybody could handle four of us.
No, goodness, no. And I remember once when I was in undergrad and I was reading this book and I started to realize, the person that I should be with should be nothing like me, and so I think from that, and then being in different relationships where it's like, he's funny, but he's not kind, and then I realized I want somebody who's kind, because I would get hurt even though I'm an extrovert and I'm pretty thick-skinned. I realized that those cuts would really hurt me and I would leave very wounded after having been with that person on a date or hanging out with them. So those things and those moments really helped me to start reevaluating my list.
Yeah. So it really was more about the person than the race.
Yes.
But
I never had ideal black men ever on my list. For me, I never had a race on my list. Yeah.
I don't think I did either. Although I did have somebody tell me that he liked to date, this type of person. I'm like, that's not true. And I was like, going through the list and going, no, I've dated almost every, race as well.
Yeah. We're very open-minded.
Yeah. We're equal opportunity over here. Don't be this girl. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. But she was definitely, she was in it. She had
her box, everything within her box. Everything had to be beige and not a lot of color. And, I love it because she had her list, and Brian, she ended up hiring to be her landscaping artist. He got to know her more from a boss in the beginning.
Right. Perspective.
And she's like, oh, no, you need to go on the back. No dogs in my house.
Yeah.
Girl, it was so embarrassing.
Rude. It was rude. I was like,
treating that precious man like the help. I'm like, I am so embarrassed right now.
But I do have to call this out, which has nothing to do with our subject.
Yeah.
But she was so perfect. And her house was like clean, and she always looked put together.
Oh yeah, even on a Saturday, hair totally not one hair out of place, with a scarf and everything, girl.
But did you see that backyard?
Oh.
Because let me tell you, that was a hot mess. It was like
was
a jungle
it
out
was,
there.
It was.
And it was just so funny to me that, you know, sometimes we see these perfect people.
Yep.
But yet there could be something on the inside.
Oh, yeah.
That is
it's
a
right.
hot mess.
It was a hot mess. And we talk about that in the book.
Yeah.
We address it in the most fun way, and how he really came and he unearthed.
Yeah.
And he came and softened the things that in her life that were hard, which I loved.
Yeah.
I mean, we just loved that movie so much. But, you know, I think it's good to say when it comes to a list, you know, what are the core values to you? Mm-hmm. For me, it would have to be somebody who believed in God and who loved the Lord as much as I did, if not more. Mm-hmm. But I found that I wanted somebody who was kind-hearted and who was of a gentler tone, because I can be a little bit, I'm very like this because I'm a visionary. And I don't even mean to come across harsh, or I think I'm bold or whatever, but somebody else could be like, oh, that was a little harsh, you know? Mm-hmm. And I've had people tell me that. I was like, really? I'm like, oh dear, I'm sorry. You know,
you're like, you need to harden up.
Girl, yeah, you need, you know, but I'm appreciative of that, because it's made me realize, oh, wow, I need to pull it back a little bit, you know? So I feel like for me, that would be the kind of man that I would need in my life, is someone who'd be like, oh, it was a little, somebody who he's going to counter, you know, act the things that maybe somebody might perceive as being harsh, and he's going to be the gentle. And so together we really make a nice combination. Yeah. But I think in terms of all the good teeth, no kids, you know, it's like, are those
things went away.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Cause I did have that on my list. That was what the teeth, the smile, that was a thing.
Clean teeth. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, well, yes. You don't ever want
I don't want to see someone that always got food in there. It's like, do you floss?
Yeah.
Why am I seeing things all around each tooth?
You're like let me get my dentist's phone number for you. Let's go on that date.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Oh yeah. Oh wait. Oh yeah. No. We're not doing that.
No. Oh my goodness. Yeah, but I did have that on my list.
You did. Okay.
I had. It was the eyes and the mouth. Teeth is a big thing for me, but it went away after a while because, like you said, I wanted somebody that I could communicate with, right? I could have a good conversation with, because as I got older, I started to think about that. Like, and I always like to have you picture this. So if you can close your eyes or whatever, picture this.
I'll close my eyes.
You know, that person that's going to be sitting next to you on a porch, on a rocking chair, being able to watch the sunsets or the sunrises with you and having a conversation when you're older.
Yes.
Because when you're older, that's what you need, right? Yeah. So to me, that kind of went away because I was envisioning, you know, who am I going to grow old with, and am I going to be able to love that person and, you know, have them love me back when we can't be out there flying, you know, jumping out of airplanes and snowboarding and doing all the fun things. And, you know, Kyle, my husband, loves extreme sports. And we just had this conversation the other day because we just moved, and you know, I was like, get rid of my snowboard, get rid of my biking gear, you know, my motorcycle gear, and I haven't ridden my Harley in probably 2 years or something. And he's like, no, you're gonna do it again, babe. And I'm like, I'm absolutely not going to do it again. I can tell you with my whole heart today that we can sell these items because I'm never going to do it again. I have no desire in my heart to do those things again. And he was so disappointed, you know, but I mean, he is 12 years younger than I am. So for all you that don't know that, there's your little timeline that he's just like out there ready to jump off of, you know, out of a plane and go snowboarding and do all of these things. He wants to do the wingsuit thing in New Zealand.
Oh dear.
And I'm like, you are not a squirrel, honey. Like, you can't do that. But now I love these things about him.
Sure.
But, you know, now I'm like, okay, but can you rock on a chair? Because that's what I'm going to need you to do.
You can wear the suit, but can you rock on a chair? In your squirrel suit.
Can you imagine the squirrel suit? Oh, Lord. Okay, let's get back on point.
So, yeah, the list. So, yeah, I think, you know, lists are good, but not to the detail where it's so nitpicky that you're not going to find love. And I feel like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I had revisited a list, and, I developed a course that we taught during the pandemic. It was called She Is Single, She Is Strong. I had all the girls talk about a list, and I had a dear friend of mine come on who had a list. And I mean, she's like, he needs to be this, he needs to be buff, he needs to be, and she had all these things, she was a track and field coach when she was younger. Well, her husband is like tall, lanky, not buff in any sense of the word, but the sweetest, most kindest man. I mean, she and I would go shopping and we would come back and he would have dinner ready for us.
Okay.
Candles. I mean, he loves the jazz. He loves the classical. He had this whole wearing an apron. Okay. Did you girls have fun? Oh, sit down and he was just such a servant and had the most beautiful servant heart.
Yeah.
I know he got it from his dad because growing up, we'd go to his house and the dad would come out in an apron, bringing us cookies and all this.
So sweet.
So sweet. Well, what a kind and gentle man. And now that they've been married for so many years, I was the maid of honor in their wedding. She cannot talk about him without crying when she talks about how he was everything that she never knew. What we quoted in our chapter on with Selma Hayek and Matthew Perry, you're everything I never knew I always wanted.
Yeah.
She says, he's everything I never knew that I needed, but God knew exactly I would need this kind, gentle man who would just be there for me. And yet when she gets a little out of hand, because she's Argentinian, she a little cray, he'd be like, babe, no.
Right.
And I was like, oh, dang, but not rude, not yelling, just, no, we're not doing that. Just very kind, but still firm. So just because he was all gentle didn't mean he was a walkover.
Right.
She wasn't walking over him, but I love that. And so I think for me, I've noticed some of the different relationships and I go, I really like that. The chemistry. I like how they engage with each other and how those different personalities. So I do want someone who has a different personality than me, someone that I'm attracted to. I already said someone who loves God as much as I do, if not more. If he's musical, great. A creative for sure. I would love to create, maybe filmmaker, scriptwriter, whatever. I think that's, when we get to do these things together, it gives us a whole new depth in our relationship as friends.
Yeah.
And so I think I would want that with somebody, but I think my list is really shrunk down.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be a brunette.
It's gotten a little bit more, filled with quality items of what you might want, right? Instead of those maybe not that yours were, but like more shallow things.
Sure.
Of, looks and things like that and stuff. But yeah, I mean, we see the list, we see, some interracial things going on here with Kenya and Brian and it's also important, especially in, this day and age, but I think that as we see everything that happened in this movie, nothing speaks louder than love.
That's it. Yeah. And he loved her.
I mean,
he loved him some
the mariachi outfit.
Girl, that outfit, had me literally I was like crying, this painful, because I just thought, I've never dated a guy who has loved me like that. I know this.
Yeah.
And I pray that one day I do.
Yeah.
And so that was, one of my favorite moments of all. Like him willing. And that's the other thing too, for me, would be a man. Hopefully he wouldn't have to stand up against the parents for me, because I want all of us to love each other, but somebody who's willing to stand up for me and everything about me.
And love you the way that you are. I love that he had said that multiple times.
Yes.
Like, let your hair just be. Quit with the weaves and all the things.
Yeah.
Like, let it be natural. And then our beautiful Blair Underwood comes in as Mark,
as the ideal black man.
Yeah, and he's just like, you need to get this and you need to do
he's
that.
He's like, I like you with your hair with the weave on. Can you put that back on?
He was looking for the trophy versus Brian, who was just,
who loved her for
let me just love you for who you are.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So that's a little bit about what we wanted to connect about today, was just really talking about, if you've got a list, maybe reevaluate. If you were like Yvette, you had a list, but the minute a hot guy comes around, you're tossing it out the window. Well, that ain't good either.
Don't be that girl.
Don't be that girl, right? But if you feel like, I need to reevaluate. I always feel like the beginning of the year anyway is always a good time to reevaluate anything.
Yeah.
So if you're single and you have a list, maybe take some time to reevaluate and just get quiet. Find yourself in a quiet space, maybe at the beach or at a park. On your patio, on your porch, with some beautiful soft music, and having a nice cup of coffee or something, and just journaling. What is it that really speaks to you? If you've been in an abusive relationship, you need to get out, and I know that's easier said than done, but it would be wonderful. Wouldn't it be wonderful if maybe the person you spend the rest of your life with is somebody who never lays a hand on you or your kids, or ever verbally abuses you? Because I've been in those relationships too.
Yeah.
You know?
Before we go, I just wanted to bring this up, and I hadn't even talked to you about it yet, but I just heard a beautiful testimony from Kim Walker Smith.
Oh, I just heard about it yesterday.
Okay. And
from my roommate.
Oh, yes, because she was up there. I saw Miss Vivian. She had the most amazing testimony about her stepdad, George, and how much he loved her.
Yes.
And she was a bratty brat because she had been abused so much by, prior stepdads. And it was just the most beautiful testimony of love and showing that example. Like your friend's husband, he obviously got that from his dad. Just being so caring and loving. It's so important to have a mentor or someone in your life that is showing you those kinds of things.
That's true.
And that person to be. But that testimony was amazing.
I heard it was amazing. And I hope I get to hear it, like on a podcast or a service.
And it took her years. And that's the thing. It's not going to happen overnight.
Right.
The things that we go through, the abuse, whether verbally, physically, whatever it is, it's not going to, your healing is not going to come overnight.
Right.
But it is going to come.
Yes.
And we love to encourage you, especially in the book. We have so many resources for them.
And there's a lot of promptings in our book as well. I think that people have said has been so helpful for them to write things out and really to think things through. You need quiet because so many people, even influences and friends, and they just tell you what they want. Well, you should be this, you should do that. And it's like, no, what should you do? And that should just be something on your own that you determine, and I know at some point I thought, I would make a great stepmom, like I would love to marry a man and then there's an immediate family, and I don't know what his previous, marriage was like, and who knows why he's single now. But I just feel like my stepdad, who really was my dad, he was so just instrumental, and you'll read about it in the book as well, just in helping me be who I am. But I thought I had such a wonder. We would go skiing together and things, just so many wonderful things. Not perfect man, but a stepdad who really loved me. And
allowed you to do and be who you wanted to be.
Exactly. So that even when he and my mom were now divorced, I was still his oldest daughter. And he would introduce me, this is my oldest daughter,
Yeah.
And I think because I had that love, I would make a wonderful stepmom and just love the kids like nobody's business.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So you would. To be, thank you. So be willing to be stretched and come out of that Kenya box.
Yeah.
Which she eventually did.
Throw out the list, maybe make a new list.
Yes. And things that really matter.
Yeah.
What's going to build you up? What's going to make you a better person? And not just what's going to look good on your arm.
Right.
Not just what's going to be good in bed and all of those things. It's like, no, those things do fade. And at the end of the day, it's like what matters most are not those things.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
anyway, well, thank you guys again for joining us here on our podcast.
Yes.
And, we're enjoying all these little movies and little things that we can talk about. But again, if you guys have a subject that you want to hear a little bit more about, like, let us know. Let us know in the comments. You can email us, right?
don'tbethisgirl@gmail.com. And if you're watching us on YouTube, our audio podcast is on Spotify and Apple. So you can go ahead and, jump in and follow us there as well. So you don't ever miss out on an episode, and then share the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. But we want to hear back from you guys. And we're just excited. It's all things love, relationships, and romantic comedies, and which are all things that we love. And I think, we in some ways couldn't be more opposite. And I think it's what makes us so much fun together.
Yeah.
But then we are alike in a lot of ways too.
We are alike in a lot of ways, but
yeah,
we're different.
We're different.
I'm married now. You're still single.
Yep.
She's loving her life. I'm loving my life.
And I love her life.
And I love her life.
Yeah.
Like, this is why we hang out. Get a little piece of you and a little piece
That's
of
right.
you.
That's right.
Anyway, you guys, thank you again for watching. Please follow us on social media.
Yes, do.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Buy our book.
Buy the book. Yes, buy the book for your friends. Start a book club.
That's right.
Let us know if you guys start a book club and how that's going. We would love to hear from you.
We'd love to hear from you. And until next time, take care of yourself. Love yourself. Love the people around you. And we look forward to having you join us on our next podcast. We'll take care.
Bye.
Bye.